Welcome to In Focus. Parenting is challenging enough, but today parents are faced with a whole new set of issues brought on by smartphone technology that competes for and is winning the attention of our youth. What we're seeing is a generation spending more and more time on their phones and less time engaged in reality and relationships with others. Joining me today on Skype is an expert in youth culture from Youth Unlimited in Toronto to discuss this smartphone generation. Welcome to In Focus, Paul Robertson. Paul, it's good to see you, my friend.
Good to be with you.
Well, I've seen a lot of the things that are flying around in the news media right now, but I don't think there's anyone better to dissect it for us and make sense of it than yourself. To jump in.
I hope I don't let you down.
Well, I know you won't. When we look at the four trends of the iGeneration and the iKids, could you tell us really to kind of frame what we're dealing with, these trends and how that's playing out?
Well, I think the bottom line is our kids are spending way too much time with their screens, and that gets reflected in all areas of their life. One of them being that they really don't seem to have the need or the drive to be meeting with their friends in person. Since 2000, 50% fewer students or young people actually engage in person with their friends. They go from school, they look at their screens all the way home, they go up to their bedrooms, get on their computers, and the cyber world for them is where they hang out. We used to hang out on the street corners when we were kids. Now they hang out in cyberspace. That's where their friends are. And all the research is showing that the more time a young person spends online, the less satisfaction they have with life. So they're not doing themselves any favor by spending this much time out there online.
And when you look at that, is that where we're seeing the lost in the socialization of people? Because I remember years back when we worked with Promise Keepers and a number of others, and we were working with kids, we talked about a screen generation coming up. They replaced the movie screen, the Nintendo screen, and also all of the different screens instead of having a face-to-face relationship. Is that what's happening with the socialization?
Absolutely. And it hit home for me last fall when I was teaching at a Bible college here in Ontario. And I just found the students much quieter. Even in the classroom, they would spread out. It's like each one had to have their own little physical area. It's almost like they were hunkered down up in their bedroom or something, and very hard to have conversations with them. And what young people need to understand, and parents need to understand, that a smartphone by its very nature causes you to be isolated. You can only use this thing when you're by yourself, or if you're sitting at a table full of people and you take your phone call or you're going to text back to somebody. Everybody else around the table ceases to exist, because in that moment, it's just you and your screen. And so by its very nature, it makes us isolated.
And so what you're saying is it's also one of those trends that's causing a mental health crisis as well, because they become electronic leashes?
Absolutely. They're showing that kids who spend more than 2 hours per day on a screen tend to be unhappier. Now, we've got kids who are spending 5 and 6 hours. Some of the kids with the most noticeable mental health issues, such as stress, anxiety, depression, ultimately, some of them end up taking their own lives. Those kids are heavy users of their screens. And the problem with being on the screen all the time is you don't have anybody speaking into your life like when you and I were growing up. Right. But they hear these voices that come through their social media websites and the online gaming websites, that these are the ones that they're looking to for growth and development and encouragement. And it just doesn't work.
So really what you're saying is we are battling with a generation that is now, they're living in their head, but they're not really having the social skills or even the self-regulation or the things that they need in order to have not only successful families, but keep jobs and also work in society. And we're talking about how this is going to affect the workforce going forward.
Oh, exactly. The workforce had to adapt to the millennials who like to be catered to. This generation, I'm not sure how they're going to do in the workplace, because their conversation skills and their writing skills and their And so many of those things are being depleted because of time on screen. Now, we've got a lot of great kids out there, but we've got a lot of kids dealing with issues. And I think because we, as parents, teachers, pastors, youth workers, because we're so immersed in technology, we don't understand what's really going on out there with our kids. And I think in a lot of ways, my role at this point in life, I become the dangerous product warning label on this to let parents and youth workers know, hey, we've got an issue here and we've got to rise up and do something about it.
Well, that's a good point to pivot on. Now, how do we get our hands around this, and what do we do if we are now dealing with a generation that's in no hurry to grow up and they're living in cyberspace? What can we do as parents, and how do we get engaged?
Yeah, well, let me give you four. I have a sheet of 40 practical things parents can do. I just keep accumulating them as I read. But number one, I would really encourage parents, especially with younger children, to teach their kids to love to read.
Mm.
Screens result just in shallow thinking. Book reading requires them to use their imagination and to engage fully. My 10-year-old grandson said to me the other night, he said, Grandpa, readers are leaders, right? And I said, right. That's what I taught my four boys and my grandkids. Readers are leaders. Any time to get them away from screen. For girls, physical exercise is a must. We know the anxiety, stress, and depression levels among girls in Canada is as high as it's ever been. It's not going to get any better. The best counter for them is physical exercise, doing things together as a family.
Beautiful.
I think parents need to understand that pain is okay. It's okay for your kids to fail. We have too many snowplow parents who want to block all the negative things, the uncomfortable things in life from their children.
Mm.
You grow through pain, you grow through suffering. And I think, and you hit on this when we started, conversations. We need to have more ways to have more conversations. One of the things I provide for parents when I go to a seminar, I have a little word file. It's got 172 questions. So if you can't think of a question to ask your kids, I've got 172 of them that you can use.
Wow, I'm looking forward to that list, and I'm also going to make that available on our website at 700club.ca, because I think this is fantastic, because I believe we're only scratching the surface of what we're dealing with here. My friend, I wish we had more time. We're going to have to do a round two on this one, because this is so significant. I really believe it's a tsunami, and our children do need an intermediary. But I want to thank you in advance for all the work that you're doing. But at the same time, stay on the front line, and please don't grow weary in well-doing. Hey, you have heard In Focus. That's Paul Robertson. And if you want more information, it's on our website. We'll be right back.